grief, it is dark and spooky.
And this fog, what is this about?
Where does this fog come from?
You know, it's kind of familiar.
What was that sound? What was that? Where are you going? I've never played this game. No.
Alright guys, so today we're talking spooky video games. So it's October, the time has come.
What is that?
The best time to play scary video games. I'll start off and talk about my favorite scary video game series, which is Silent Hill. So this is what this is from. This is custom made
Not Freddy's.
for me. It's Robbie the Rabbit from Silent Hill 3
right?
and 4. Yeah, and he wanted to be kind of like a mascot for Silent Hill. Man, I love that game series. I played all the games. I love all the lore. I used to be in all the message boards for Silent Hill. I've written Silent Hill fan fiction. Don't try to find it.
The link will be in the description below.
I'm just trying to figure out what you try to write.
Pyramid Head.
Who were you
Thrust his pyramid
shipping?
head
Oh,
into-
it was a total like
No,
self-insert
there's-
Mary Sue
Oh, you
fan
put yourself.
fiction.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You can love the
I
zombies.
love Silent Hill. Like I think
creepy.
it's easily playable. I think it's very accessible, and yet it's still so scary. I don't know if that's because of some of the controls being a little clunky, probably. But Silent Hill did such a good job of creating this ambiance in the town that really scared you, even though it's not that difficult to play. I think that's what I've always really enjoyed. I don't play a lot of horror games for the action. I do play some. I think we'll be talking about some of the same ones, but Silent Hill was all about just the environment and the storytelling for me, and the characters, because they really were such relatable, interesting characters really going through trauma in their lives. And oh man, the music, Akira Yamaoka, wow. And with Mary Elizabeth McGlynn's vocals, like Silent Hill 3 and onward for Silent Hill.
Is that the song from
Oh
DDR?
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I got you. Good
Nice.
job. Good job. Yeah, and I'm still mad about the movies, but that's okay. I really love the games. I think
You didn't
they're
like the
great.
movies?
And we can just pretend like Konami continued to do a good job with Silent Hill and didn't destroy PT in my hopes and dreams, and then also made a
Pachinko
Pachinko
fucking
machine.
pachinko
Game.
machine.
I'll play it. I'll throw quarters in it.
No. Our friendship is over if you betray me by playing the Silent Hill pachinko machine.
When we go to
You,
Japan, I'm doing it.
Friendship over. I will leave you
I sent a
there.
link of that to one of my buddies, and his response was "kill me" because
Yeah.
he's a huge Silent Hill fan, which is understandable. My favorite Silent Hill is Silent Hill 2.
Oh, because it's the best one.
Yeah, it's the best one. Yeah, so.
I think 2 is the one that gets the most love too,
Yeah.
because that's the one that introduced Pyramid Head, right?
Yes.
And that's also the one with the butt creatures. If I know
Yes.
what I'm saying. And I just remember
The,
the fog,
the
the butt,
mannequins. Yeah.
Okay.
butt on butt. That's what I saw. And
I
the
mean, that's what
sound
everyone else
effects.
saw.
And it was the PlayStation 2, so it looked a lot clearer than the first one. Because the first one all I remember is a dude with was with a stick, just beating a bunch of creatures up that looked pixelated.
Maybe we should have you replay this game.
Yeah.
It's
Is there
over
a remastered edition? Because there was a dude
Yes,
with a
on
stick.
the Xbox.
There's not a
360, but
remastered
sorry?
version of Silent Hill 1, but there are remastered versions of 2 and 3.
on the
Yeah,
Xbox,
those are the
yeah.
good ones. Nobody remembers the first one.
But
It was a
the
dude
remasters
with a
actually-
stick.
They
No,
aren't that
what is
great,
that?
but they're good enough to get the point across.
You didn't like the movie? I thought the movie was regarded as one of the best made from
Listen.
video game horror movies.
Listen,
I loved
was it
the
watchable?
movie.
Yes. Did they?
The first one. Let's talk about the
Okay.
first one.
But listen,
I
they
am.
changed the characters around
Well, yeah.
because instead of Harry Mason, we had a
Perry
lady,
Mason.
which is okay. That's fine. But Pyramid Head is a representation of James's subconscious in Silent Hill 2. So no, it shouldn't have been in there.
Have we
That's
talked about
some BS.
Transformers, the movie, and what that's done to our childhood?
Listen, I like Silent Hill movie just fine. Did they try to change the lore? Yes. Pyramid Head didn't belong in there.
You're answering all your questions, by the way. You're not giving me enough time to answer. Yes, they did try
She
to
has
change all the lore.
feelings.
I have
Very
feelings about
strong
it.
feelings
Very
about
I can
this.
tell. And that's okay. I have feelings, too.
And she slaps a lot harder than I do.
I like to test that
But
theory.
anyways, that's enough about me and that's my Silent Hill obsession.
That was a great answer. Thank you for that.
Okay.
So my job, like literally, is to play a whole bunch of horror games. So I've played everything's at the table. Some things we've talked about. I want to talk about something that is not on this table, just because I forgot it. My bad. Fatal Frame 2.
Yes, that is the other.
Iron Butterfly.
So
No.
good.
Crimson Butterfly.
Crimson Butterfly. Butterfly.
I said the butterfly.
That game still is terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. So the
Terrifying.
premise of this is like there's two sisters and they're going through this creepy village neighborhood things and things go awry. There's ghosts. There's like you're trying to find like your family.
Well, you're a twin missing her other
Yes.
twin.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so you're exploring this old town. Basically, you've gone to find your sister, but you end up in this ghost feudal town that some other
That was
people
the
have
best
also
part.
Oh, it's so terrifying.
appeared in. And you can't fight things normally. You can only fight them by taking photos. Now, going through a very old Japanese building is already terrifying in the
It's
dark.
very
But then you never know when a ghost is going to come up and get you. But the ambiance of that game is
Yep.
amazing.
Very similar to Silent Hill. The
Yeah,
Fallout.
which is why I brought it up
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
you know this is like you know
That was
post
that
Silent Hills.
Konami? Who did the
Fatal.
Oh my gosh, is that from software?
No,
No,
it's something. It's something-
Tecmo.
UFO?
I think it's Tecmo.
Tecmo did
Tecmo.
the Clockwork, the clock games, Clock
Tower.
King, Clock Tower.
Clock
thank you.
Tower.
Which
Clock
also
Tower.
great games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Speaking of in the Haunting Ground too, Haunting Ground's my favorite from that team.
Was that 3? I think. No.
Well,
no.
Haunting Ground's like
It's a
Clock
different-
Tower, but it's a separate.
Yeah, terrifying. Absolutely play it to this day. If you pause the game, this one got me. I didn't realize if you pause the game, things happen. So I had it paused. No, I wasn't paused. It was just sitting there, and I was doing something else. And all of a sudden, I look and like ghost just appeared just for a second. I wasn't expecting it. It's like So even in the game, you're not playing the game. It's terrifying. So go check out Fatal Frame. You can like, which should you play the first one? I don't know if the first one's really
You can jump
necessary.
straight to the second
I think you
one.
can go to
There's
the second one.
three,
The
right?
second's the best
Yeah.
one. Well, I know there's more than that. I think there's about 5.
Yeah, there's.
I know
So
that
1, 2, and
one made
3
it on the Wii,
Well,
which
the-
was weird.
For the 4th game, all the main characters from 1, 2, and 3 come back,
Oh.
and that's pretty cool. But I say, as far as the best story, it's definitely
I think it's
2.
I think it's Crimson Butterfly.
I also am going to talk about something that's not on this table, and I talked about it, I think, 2 years in a row. So I'll go ahead and say a quick blurb. Eternal Darkness. Play it.
Okay, yeah.
It's creepy. It's on the GameCube.
Was that the one that had all the weird like?
purpose?
It would
glitches.
turn off.
Yeah,
and
it
would
would turn off
man,
on you and-
you know,
Yeah.
I never got to play it, and
was
everyone would
great.
talk about their scary moments where they thought the game system would
It
turn
glitched
off.
out.
Yep.
And I've always wanted
Do you
to
have
play
a
it.
Wii or Wii U?
No, I have a GameCube.
You have a GameCube.
Yeah. Maddie, we'll play. I don't own it. Do you own a copy of it?
Yeah.
I've
Okay,
got
we'll
it.
borrow
And
it.
mine's open.
And then we'll
I've
we'll
played
play
it.
Check.
because that's the thing. Like I
Dynamic. Crystal Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're the ones that did
yeah.
it. Beautiful game, man. It's freaky as shit because of the glitches that they
glitches.
throw in there that are fucking with you. You're like, because yes, you get used to it. And you're like, obviously, there's nothing wrong with the game. I am going through this wall, or the game feels like it's going to shut down, but it's not, or the guy's just going through the floor. It's a great game.
Fantastic game.
But that's like one of the first times a game kind of did like that, right? Because
Interactive, like
now you see that a lot more in recent computer games.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
A lot
in,
of
like,
indie
Doki
games are
Doki
like that.
Literature
Yeah.
Club, Undertale. Situations
big
where I
one.
was like,
Is-
oh,
It's
what?
game- yeah,
what?
it's busted,
something
right.
going on with my computer.
Yeah.
It's- yeah.
Oh, that's one to bring up too. Undertale. Wouldn't you count that as a spooky horror game?
My daughters have
It's pretty
played it. And
spooky, but not as much as
Not as
some of the
much.
other ones. I
Yeah,
think.
I guess there's a difference
Yeah.
between like horror and spooky. Undertale, I think, is a good spooky. Everyone,
Yeah.
including your daughter,
Spooky.
everyone.
They've beaten it more
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
you
I'd
and
say
I.
it's spooky.
If you're doing a genocide run, it can be a little spooky.
I think there's dark elements if
There
you
are
go
dark.
and kill everybody and they give you a dark ending. So maybe in the same sense that, I don't know, Mickey Mousecapade is also scary.
I didn't bring Mickey Mousecapade either, my bad. What was you talking about this, Omar?
Outlast.
Oh yes, I'm the only one that's played it.
I played it!
Outlast, I think it was the reason we all played it on the PS4 was because it was the free game when you signed up for PS. What is it?
PlayStation
Plus,
Network.
whatever
PlayStation
the hell it
Plus,
is.
yeah.
But it's just a guy going into an insane asylum, first-person perspective, running. It's hiding and running away from,
Crazy.
and that's one of my favorite
Pass.
things. To do is to run away, even in side scrollers like Castlevania.
It is very like I could not play it. Could not play it. Like
It's fun to
my
play as a group.
heart would explode.
See,
Yeah,
that would be fine. There's a lot of
It's
games I
very
love. I like talking
It's
about
so
similar
stressful.
games, Haunting Ground, Clock Tower. I know there's a few others, but games where you have to hide. Like that's the main part. It's not like really
It
fighting,
is.
it's
It
hiding.
is. It is
It is
literally
hiding, being
stealth
chased.
and.
I cannot. I get
can't handle it?
so scared.
This,
Oh, that's
this,
cute.
This is what this is because this will terrify you. There's like everything. There's body parts hanging everywhere. It's very gory. There's naked dudes running at you. It's terrifying.
Got
Terrifying.
naked dudes in this?
Yeah, so you can run
But-
towards them if you
Damn.
want.
But not
Peens in video games
not
now?
good,
Should've
not
seen
good
Rob.
naked
Did you call
dude.
it penis? I don't think you're
call
old
it
enough to
beans.
play.
What? Bad naked dude. Just. But it's fantastic. It's terrifying. It's great. Great.
No, it's a good.
I'd like
it's-
to play. That'd be a fun like group thing.
Yeah.
My favorite type of game is like Layers of Fear.
So explain to me what this is, because I've tried to get Rob to explain to me.
So
He
it's
works
basically-
at the company.
Well, I'll talk about Layers of Fear 2 after you talk about Layers of Fear 1. Go ahead.
Okay, so Layers of Fear is basically you are the child of a painter, and you go throughout the house exploring, and really creepy shit happens while you're exploring, and you
Okay.
get more and more bits of the story. And there's different outcomes depending, but you realize just how messed up it is. Are you experiencing the same sort of mental illness that your father is, the painter? And just the overall creepy, like something is not right, either mentally or with the house
Is it
itself.
first person perspective? Is
Yes.
it
Yes.
First person.
It's first person perspective. Like one of the rooms you go into, it's like a kitchen and everything seems fine and then shit moves, you know, but it's kind of like you look one way and then you look back and something's different. You look one way and like stuff's like rotted or distorted. And it's sort of figuring out and exploring and interacting with the environment. It's kind of almost like a horror mist element.
Talking about this really reminds me of something we don't do when we do this every year, because we talk about all these things that look great and feel great and sound amazing. But back when we were younger, like a lot of the scary things that we found scary were from video games that were pixelated 8-bit games, right? Like I remember Castlevania 2 kind of freaking me out a little bit because of the music, and when it changed into night, everybody turned into a zombie and a ghost, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Monster Party, a little bit freaky,
I get-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Resident Evil-ish kind of game too on the Nintendo, and I think about that like, I don't think my kids would find this scary at all. How is it that we found it scary when we were
I
that
think
young?
It was something that was different. So
Because we have this now.
if I can think of the game real fast, and I'm probably not, it was like you're in this sort of like haunted mansion
Arch
thing.
Nightmare?
No, definitely not. But you solve a bunch of puzzles. So you go throughout the house, and the whole music, it was like an
Shadowgate.
Maniac Mansion?
Shadowgate. It was Shadowgate.
Shadowgate, yeah.
Yes, you got it with that. I mean, like there were the coffins, and you had to open it
Yeah, the
up
game was
and
good.
get.
That was a first-person perspective.
That was a first-person perspective, but it was pixelated, and,
And
there
it had
wasn't
great
anything-
music, and like the skulls
The
scared me
skulls-
when I was
the
a kid.
skulls
Yep.
scared
What was
me.
the
Like,
sequel called?
I was so terrified, and it had the lightning strike, like it was like.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a scary game.
Oh, good
That
choice.
was
Riddle of
scary.
the Sphinx is in there.
The Riddle of the
like all
Sphinx,
the
yeah.
riddles that you have to go through
Which
the next
I
door.
solved for my mom at 4 years old. Thank you.
Good job.
For your mom. Oh, was she playing the game?
She was playing the game. I
she got pulled over by the
I got
cops.
scared.
So you talked about Layers of Fear 1. Let me talk
Yeah.
about Layers of Fear 2. Now, full disclosure, I work for the publisher that published this game, so I'm a little biased. But as much as you love Layers of Fear 1, you would love Layers of Fear 2 because a lot of the same Bloober team are the developers of this game, and we call it a bloober when like you look at something and like okay, there's a door, and then you turn, you go back, and it's like dead fish or whatever. Like what I just
Right.
saw something. So Layers of Fear 2 it's a psychological horror adventure where you're an actor on a cruise ship and you're getting ready for this ultimate role, and things go awry without spoiling anything. And exactly like what you were talking about with Layers of Fear 1, like you go down hallways and they're not what they expected, and the more items and things that you interact with, the more the story that you learn behind like who the actor is and what happened to them and the persons around them. And it's legit terrifying once you get to the end. Like when we were trying to like test this game toward the end, and we got to the end, I was like, I can't play this. I put the controller down and I took a
You're
walk.
like,
I'm done. I'm out.
I'm done.
But it's a fantastic game. I highly encourage you
I like
by
that
Layers of Fear 2.
suspense. So
Yes.
that's what's so interesting, and I think that is kind of what our older games had, was that suspense, that build up. It wasn't the jump scare, the gore.
Jump scares were good though.
Jump scares
I mean, the
are
first
good.
time the dog came through that, y'all know what I'm talking
God,
about.
that puzzle.
Well, just Resident Evil. I mean, we can just vaguely talk about the series, but Resident Evil, while it wasn't the greatest controls or the greatest games, and the voice acting was horrible, but the first time you ever played with a group of friends or by yourself,
Yep.
when
it's
you're walking
different.
down the hall and the damn dog jumps through the door, fuck.
Yeah. I think everyone lost their lives. I remember sitting people down who had not played the game, like, hey, let's play this Resident Evil game. Like, okay, that's cool. And the dogs got everyone every time, and the first time the zombie gets you, that got everyone every time.
Jump scares are good, especially when they introduce the rumble feature. Because the rumble feature wasn't a big thing on the PlayStation 1 up until maybe I guess the later half of the
DualShock came in PlayStation 1.
Get so scared
PlayStation,
playing these games.
But
like,
the original
I can
time
do
you played
this.
it though, like
it was
Resident
not.
Evil, they didn't
Cannot
have.
play this by myself.
Well, so talking about
I have to watch other people play it
let's talk about Resident Evil.
in
So,
a lit room.
Wow.
let me get to that. So the reason Resident Evil 1 and 2 were so terrifying, I believe, there are a couple of factors. Of course the music, of course the graphics, but the fact that you had tank controls, meaning you didn't have full mobility.
Yeah.
So
That
there's a
limited
zombie,
you.
Yeah, so if you're
go
a
full
zombie's
melee.
like "Roar," doing this and you can only move like this, that's terrifying. And the second thing is creative use of camera angles. We had talked about this with Crimson Butterfly, because the camera angle is like this. And you don't know what's here, so you're like, okay, please not to be anything. And of course there is. Rawr. Those elements are what really elevated Resident Evil to be super terrifying.
So, question for you, and I'm sure that maybe that's what the point you're getting to. Did you feel like 4 and 5 were less scary because now you have a lot of weapons, right? You have the means to defeat zombies. It's not really scary anymore. The scariest thing is cutting a box open as a snake in it.
Yeah. So you're transitioning exactly. It's almost like we planned this, right? So in my opinion, I like all the Resident Evil games, which is why, and we'll talk about these too.
Yeah, and I love them.
But
Yeah.
Resident Evil, like, 4 was one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah.
5, 6, no, it just wasn't scary because your dude was just too mobile.
No, well, not only that, but
7,
they also
though.
7.
they introduced the multiplayer mode.
Yeah,
And in multiplayer mode in 5 and 6, even if you're playing online, you don't have this sense of like being alone and exploring this area by yourself. You experience it with somebody else. It's like, oh shit, and then you're like, what?
Yeah, and what makes Resident Evil scary is, like I said, camera, limited control, the item box, you only can put 3 things in it, no ammo, zombies that don't die, which is why I want to talk about Resident Evil 2.
The remake.
Yeah, I put on the demo and I got scared and I deleted it. I'm
So
dead
you
serious.
deleted it because you thought it was possessed?
No, I love scary games. I freaked out immediately, and I still want to play it so bad, but I need help.
I can help you. I can help you.
All right, we're gonna come over. We'll play Eternal Darkness, Resident Evil 2, and you got to play Monster Party with us, or
That sounds like
Mickey
a game
Mouse
night.
Capade.
Yeah.
All right.
Shadowgate.
Whatever.
What made Resident Evil 2 super scary is everything we just talked about. But now, even though you're more mobile, the graphics are so horrifyingly disturbing. And again, you have like 3 bullets, and the zombies, like in the old Resident Evil games, zombies are like, raw, they come at you in a straight line, but they're slow. So I can aim and go pop, 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 right? No, these zombies, their heads are like, raw, and it doesn't matter if you shoot them in the head, they can still get us awful trauma. And then it also talks about this, Resident Evil 7.
Terrifying. Now that one, Resident Evil 7 really brought back, like, to me,
It's went
the
back.
horror genre. It was terrifying. The ambiance is terrifying. Walking around that house is...
Would you play it in VR?
God. No!
I would love to see Maddie play this in VR.
That's what I was gonna say.
What if you were surrounded by us and we promised not to leave the house?
No.
I don't trust you.
So, like you
No,
said,
because he would be like, "Ah!"
this
hell
game
yes.
is terrifying. This game is terrifying. Probably one of the scariest games released in the past, whatever. This game in VR, like, just change your underwear. Like, I had to stop playing it. It was so scary in VR because I would only play it at night in VR, and I couldn't do it. I was like, okay, we're done. We're done. Let's do this
thank
in real
you.
life.
Yeah.
What's the?
Now, let's talk about games we can actually play. So a lot of these games we said, like, oh, well, they're fun with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's kind of a new trend. And I say new trend, but you have Man of Medan here. Now, Man of Medan, the developers behind this made Until Dawn. Now,
Until Dawn was great.
Until Dawn was great. Now, I've replayed that game several times, and for my friends, it's become a party game. So for those of you who don't know, Until Dawn, it was kind of one of the first of its kind, almost, because everyone had different characters, and you would play as that character, and their decisions affected the whole overall story. Because basically, you could have everyone live at the end, you could have everybody die, a few people live and die, and the story is prepared to be affected by that.
And they had real actors doing
Real
the motion
actors.
capture, like Hayden Pantyhose. I don't know.
Hayden Panettiere.
That's what I said.
Rami Malek,
Yeah.
who's really big because
Yep.
he was in the Queen movie. And the people who made that game caught on. They realized that people
People
played it where
were
they would
playing
never
everyone
would
together.
choose
And
a
that's what
character, and
done.
people would play that character. And so, and now they've made Man of Medan.
Except for the guy that didn't have any friends. I don't like Until Dawn. It's not that good of a game.
Well, that's when he would pretend that he had a friend.
There you go. See, exactly.
So they made Man of Medan. This is right, the Dark Pictures Anthology. So Man of Medan's the first one. In the Dark Pictures Anthology, now, when you start the game, they show you the characters. You choose one, and then you also put in your name. So I played this recently with Andrew, our cameraman. And we played through this, and this is like 5 hours. It's easily digestible. They've realized that people were playing these games as party games.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. I love this. It's so fun to all play through this together. Everyone's decisions is their own decision, but affects everyone else.
Right.
Man, it took
so
a while
much
to
fun.
catch on because we've been doing this for decades.
Well, yeah, of
like
course.
like as soon as Resident Evil 1, you wanted to show your friends, we were doing a party game.
Oh yeah.
Or yeah, I remember doing that with all the Resident Evils as they came out. So that's pretty cool that they did that. I hope to see more games like that. I was hoping they do, but I mean, we did. My brothers and I did it because my brothers were pussies when it came to Outlast. Like they were like,
No, I played that
no,
one.
you need to come over. We need to play this
No, I
together.
played that one by myself, which probably wasn't a good idea. It was terrifying.
No.
So,
But-
speaking of multiplayer games, again, I have to say, I've worked for this company, but a fantastic multiplayer experience is Friday the 13th. The game on the PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and just released on the Switch. Now, even if you're not a fan of Friday the 13th, like, I don't know how you couldn't be, but even if you're not a fan, it's still a lot of fun to choose as one of 7 counselors, and then the 8th person is Jason. So it's an asymmetrical horror type game. And so counselors are trying to escape and not get killed, while Jason's trying to kill everybody, and Jason is extremely overpowered. So chances are, if you encounter Jason, you're going to die. But you can hide, escape, run, call the cops, have Tommy Jarvis from the movies come in and like help you shoot things. It's a lot of fun. And what's cool about this game on the Switch is you talk about the party element. It's almost like we've been talking about this beforehand and playing this before the show. When everyone is playing with their Switch connected on the same Wi-Fi access point, whatever, playing together, there's a lot of trash talk and there's a lot of, hey, I'm over at the cabin, come meet me, and you're actually Jason. The person's like, okay, like come through, stab.
Yeah.
So it's horror games, I think, play best when you're with people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with people. And these games absolutely
Well,
bring this out.
For the same reason that you go see horror movies with a group of people, you always bring the friends that pee their pants.
Yeah.
You want to sit next to them because it's completely worth it. They make the experience so much better.
Yeah.
Right. So man, I'm glad we talked about this, and we even talked about some old school 8-bit Nintendo games in there too. And Maddie introduced us to her Robbie the
It's
Rabbit.
not Five Nights at Freddy.
I really thought it was.
Y'all, I was just sitting on the steps for that episode. I'm just terrified out of my gourd. Anyway, please like, subscribe, check out our Patreon. Tell us what you think in the comments down below. We got that Redbubble too. Check it out. And while y'all are out trick-or-treating tonight, be careful.
Closest you will
Let's talk
come
about
to.
how Omar doesn't know how to tell anime dudes and
I
ladies
think I've
apart.
told you
That should be an episode.
I have masturbated to a tray when I was a kid because I thought it was a chick. I've told you this story.
Are you recording?
I don't care. I'm not ashamed of that.